So let's talk shoes. I haven't got my partner in crime with me today, but I'm going to talk to you about what I want to wear on my feet all the way through my marathon training. I've messed around with a few different trainers, but I've settled on a system that I think works, and I'm just going to share that with you now. So shoes are the most important part of kit you're going to have. Obviously, you're going to be absolutely pounding your feet onto road like you've never done before, and if you don't get the right footwear, if you don't get that combination right, then you're not going to perform as well as you could do in your race, but ultimately you could end up doing yourself some real damage as well. So that is not what you want to do, and you want to avoid that at all costs, obviously. But like I say, you're going to put your feet, your ankles, your knees and your joints through so much, you really need to get those shoes right. I would recommend getting your gait analysed. You can go to a number of different sort of brands or independents that will do that for you. I've had that done before. It turns out I was a neutral runner, so it obviously opens things up a little bit more for me. I would suggest that, in my experience, when you go to certain companies, like if you go to Asics, they're going to sell you an Asics shoe. So you're kind of limiting yourself in terms of the choices you're going for. You could go and get your sort of analysis done, and then just sort of say I'm not going to buy anything today, and then walk away. And then you can go on a website called Runnea. I think it's Runnea. It's spelled Runnea, which is a comparison site. And what it does is it talks about the different weights and specs of the shoes, but also it shows you what sort of style the shoe fits. So you could go there and have a proper look for, like, if you've got a certain sort of thing you need to sort of protect yourself against. So I would recommend you go and do that. But if you are a neutral runner and you know that already, then hopefully this advice is going to be useful. And I'm talking road running, I'm not talking trail running, because that's a different episode in itself. So in terms of neutral runner, so the Nike Pegasus, so these are little cheeky customs with my wife's initials and AJ's on there, my first ever running club I ever attended. But yeah, Nike Pegasus. So I've got about 7 or 8 pairs. I use these for easy running. I will use these for track if I need something a bit more comfortable, a bit more durable. So normally I do track in Vapor Flies, or I've done Streak Flies before, but don't use Streak Flies. But yeah, these are really, really good for going around the track. Also useful for gym work as well. So the heel at the back isn't too big. When I show you the Vapors and the Alphas, obviously that protrudes a little bit more, so it can be a little bit uncomfortable for things like gym work. And I also use these shoes for high rocks, so I've got a newer version, but I use them for high rocks because it's great stability, and you can still get around the track really, really fast. The Nike Pegasus has been going since 1983, so pretty decent. You'll pick up a new pair of Nike Pegasus from like £145, which are the Weather Shield versions. I've got a pair of those, really, really hard wearing. Very, very good. I'd recommend going for those, or you can get them in the sale. So just look for the newest Pegasus on the Nike website, then just look for the lower number on like sportshoe.com, and you'll find yourself a pair for probably about 70 quid. So if you can only afford to buy one shoe, the Nike Pegasus, baby, all the way. In terms of other shoes I've tried, so this is very, very Nike focused, I have tried Zoom Flies. Now, I don't know, I just found them odd. I didn't find them as the same sort of comfortable experience you get with an Alpha Fly, even though they look like an Alpha Fly. It just didn't work for me. I'll leave it with you, but it didn't work for me. Also, if you're going to spend, and like a Zoom Fly is like 200 quid or something like that, 180 quid, if you're going to spend that much, just get an Alpha Fly. Or 2 pairs of Pegasus and just work your way through them and have them in a rotation like that. I've used the Streak Flies. So Streak Flies have been out for a couple of years now, and they're kind of your 5 to 10k shoe. Did a 10k race in them, and I was like, there's nowhere near enough support in these for me, so I'll stick to 5k and I'll stick to track. I used them at track recently, just not got enough support for me, and again they're about 120, 130 quid. Just go and get a pair of Vapor Flies, like just spend a little bit extra and you get the protection and the cushioning. I've had Nike Reacts. I've got a few pairs of Nike Reacts. They're good, they're decent, but they're not as good as Nike Pegasus. And I've got Invincibles as well, which are super, super comfortable, but in my experience I haven't run very fast in them. I certainly wouldn't race them or anything like that, so kind of they're a luxury shoe for easy running. Jimmy runs in Hoka Cliffords, something to consider. If you want to try Hokas, and I hear lots of good things about them, so I wouldn't be surprised if I end up buying a pair of them just to have, just because I just want to be part of the cool kids, really. But have a look on Instagram and stuff like that. There's a guy called Pickled John. The John is spelled Jhon, and he's like a not an influencer, he's like an ambassador for Hoka, but they do a lot of little sort of like try-ons and like free Hoka runs. You go to a Hoka shop, you'll try on the shoe, you'll go for a run together, put your picture on Instagram, and it's all good. So it could be a good way of trying it out. In terms of shoes to avoid, ons, don't get ons. Don't get ons. Just don't get ons. I've got 2 pairs of ons. Just one a race and a pair of ons. But there's no support there. They've got this weird sort of bottom bit, and it's like it's not. Why do it? Why do it? They look different to other shoes, and they perform differently to other shoes because they don't protect your feet. So, race day. So I've run in both Vaporflies and Alphaflies for races and for the marathon. Up until my last race, I was like everything in Vapors up until marathon, and then go for Alphaflies. Now, obviously, these 2 shoes are incredible. The advancement in shoes, even since I've been running, is so huge, and the carbon fibre bit is just amazing. You'll be a better runner in Vapor or Alphaflies than you will Pegasus, 100%. But they are a bit spinny. So I've got 2 pairs of Alphaflies. I've got 1 pair which were custom, but these are just the normal Next Percents with the little cheeky bubble there. I really like them. In terms of the two shoes, that's your Vaporfly 3 Sex, and that's your Alphafly Next Percent. So I can't comment about the Alphafly 3 yet because I'm not there yet. But basically, in terms of 2 shoes, this is faster, less stable, less durable, less comfortable, which is all the benefits you get from this. But this is 55 grams heavier. Now, when I'm doing a marathon, I'm not running around going, oh, these feel 50 grams heavier, but they do feel heavier underfoot, and they make a big old slapping noise. And I don't know whether it's just because it's like a mental thing, but for me, when you're sort of slapping on the ground like that and you're feeling a bit tired, it kind of makes you a bit more tireder. Whereas these have got like more of a classic sole. They've still got that little fly plate thing in the middle, which is great, but more of a classic sole. They make less of a noise. They're super comfortable. These have done about 75 miles, and you can see I'm a neutral now because look like how nicely they're starting to deteriorate, like quite level, and they're still really comfortable. So I'd definitely go from them. In terms of the new Alphas versus the Vaporflies, I think they seem to stack up in a similar way, and there'll certainly be an improvement on these. They're lighter, but they're still 20 grams heavier than these Vaporflies. So last year I did 250, 254, 256 in Alphaflies, and then I did 241 in the Vaporflies. For this year, I'll be training in these. These will be my go-to shoes for my longer run. I might run in Invincibles on a longer, slower run, and I'll run in Pegasus day to day. And in terms of track, I'll probably go in just an old pair of Vaporfly 2s. These are Vaporfly 3s. But I'll go for a pair of carbons in there, because I run in Battersea, and everyone's trendy, and everyone wears the super shoes. So that's a consideration. You've got to be trendy. So Vaporflies all the way. But I will race. I've got 3 marathons this year. I will do at least 2 of them in this shoe. I will then either probably buy another version of these, or I might go to the Alphafly 3, depending on what people say. So, if you can go for it, get your Vaporflies. If you've got money to burn, pegs for your day to day, Vapors for your racing, Alphaflies for your training, it'll be amazing. I am a Nike core. Yes, I've had Asics before. They're fine, but I couldn't tell you if they do a super shoe. And they're not going to be as pretty, are they? It's Asics, let's face it. Ons are lacking support. Don't buy them. I haven't had Adidas for years, but I can't comment on their newest super shoe. Lots of people seem to wear them, but don't know what's wrong with Nike. The only final thing I would say about shoes is, if they feel wrong, if you've purchased them and they feel wrong, don't persevere with them, because you could start to give yourself all sort of manners of injuries and stuff like that, and that's definitely what you don't want to be doing. We are, however many weeks away from the marathon now. Kind of get this sorted now, so you can get training in them and get really comfortable in them. Things like blisters and all that sort of stuff. You want to see if you get any blisters or any impact from wearing a shoe. It might be because I have been running a lot of miles for a number of years now, but I don't get blisters from shoes. So even when I'm trying on new shoes, I tend not to get blisters. I tend to be quite comfortable. Maybe it's because I found the right shoe for me. Maybe it's because I'm neutral. Maybe it's because my feet are a little bit sort of more fucked, basically. But yeah, that's shoes. good luck with it all.